Here we are on page 18. Let's put a little star next to 18. We already have notes from class for symbolism, so we'll just kind of fly through that paragraph. Paragraph 46. Grandpa smiled in his gentle way and patiently answered their questions, or he'd tell them stories of brave warriors, ghosts, and animals, and the kids listened in awed silence. Those little guys thought Grandpa was great. Notice this word awed, right? That connotes, right, the life of a word, the social world of a word. That's what connotes mean. The connotation of a word like awed is almost religious. I was awed when Jesus rolled away the lodestone, right? Like it's a religious feeling. Finally, one day after school, my friends came home with me because nothing I said stopped them. We're going to see the great Indian of Bellevue Drive, said Hank, who was supposed to be my best friend. My brother has seen him 3 times, so he ought to be well enough to see us. Right? So here's one of the central conflicts that we're going to get a little, or not as the central conflict, but an important conflict, which is this is a milestone. Turns out he's not able to stand up to his friends, so this is sort of a make or break moment for Martin. When we got to my house, Grandpa was sitting on the porch. He had on his red shirt, but today he also wore a fringed leather vest trimmed with beads. Instead of his usual cowboy boots, he had solidly beaded moccasins on his feet. Of course, he'd been his old black hat on. He was seldom without it, but it had been brushed, and the feather in the beaded headband was proudly erect, its tip a bright white. His hair lay in silver strands over the red shirt collar. I stared just as my friends did and heard one of them murmur, "Wow." Right? Once again, we get this awe, like from earlier, which is sort of like a respectful, like I said, almost religious engagement, excitement, attention. Grandpa looked up, and then his eyes met mine. They twinkled as if he were laughing inside. He nodded to me, and my face got all hot. I could tell that he had known all along. I was afraid he'd embarrass me in front of my friends. Right? And this is repetition again, right? He's always feeling hot and cold. This is like the 3rd time this happens. It's a pattern. And it's because he's gotten called out by his grandpa, who didn't even have to say anything, but just knew that he was being a coward in the face of friends and valuing his friends' opinions over his family pride. Here's this formal greeting, and he held out his hand. My buddies passed in single file and shook his hand as I introduced them. They were so polite I almost laughed. How, Grandpa? Notice that this how is different than the how from earlier, right? Once again, we have this cultural tension between the reservation and the suburbs of Bell Drive. How, Grandpa, and even a how do you do, sir? You look fine, Grandpa, I said as the guy sat down. Han, yes, he agreed. There's that formal Lakota. He agreed. When I woke up this morning, it seemed the right time to dress into good clothes. I knew that my grandson would be bringing his friends. Right? Dress in my good clothes versus the sort of ratty, tattered ones he's been wearing. Right? So he wants to give them a taste of the formal, give them a taste of culture, but not the one that they see or understand from TV. You guys want a soda? Or I offered, but no one answered. They were listening to Grandpa as he told how he'd killed the deer from which his vest was made. Grandpa did most of the talking. I was proud of him and amazed at how respectfully quiet my friends were. Mom had to chase them home at supper time, and as they left, they shook Grandpa's hand and said to me, "Can we come back?" But after they left, Mom said, "No more visitors for a while, Martin." Grandpa won't admit it, but his strength hasn't returned. He likes having company, but it tires him. It's nice that the mom gets this moment. she gets some insight